Do, 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 do. Welcome back to my media museum and part 2 of our 50s box, 45 RPM vinyl records. And if you didn't see part 1, be sure to go back and watch that one, and you'll get the first part. What I was telling the story about the origin of this box and how I acquired it and from whom. But just picking up here, for those of you that saw part 1, we'll get right back into it here with the Tremolis. I think it's Tremolis. Singing Silence is Golden, Golden. And the B-side being a song called Here Comes My Baby. And what's interesting here is that the very next disc in the box was Silence is Golden again, but this time done by the Four Seasons. And you know, we've got credits of Crew and Gudio on this one, and on this one it was Gudio and Crew. So why they swapped the credits and gave one, you know, first billing and swapped them on here, anybody's guess. I don't know the story behind that, but that's another interesting thing to point out that's kind of odd about it. I do have 2 copies in this box. This one doesn't have the writing here like you see on that one, so but neither one of them are in ideal condition. The vinyl looks good. It sounds good, looks good. But these labels, they get a lot of wear, especially when they're not kept in sleeves and they're just thrown in one of these boxes, carrying a box around, bouncing the box around. Those labels rubbed up against each other cause a lot of this, what I usually refer to as stacker wear. But the stacker wear is usually more consistently round. And sometimes when it's just buffed off, it's just from carrier wear, I guess we might want to call it. B-side being a song called Ragdoll, which actually I think I recognize Ragdoll more. And Ragdoll is probably the A-side, and the Silence is Golden being a cover song, because the Four Seasons did not do that originally, I'm sure. That's probably the B-side. So I just had it in there the other way in the box because it was interesting having the original followed by a cover. So that's showing you the backside of the first copy that I showed you. And it's interesting that since this guy put this box together for me that I got some duplicates in there, but I don't think any of the duplicates were originally back to back in the box. So he just simply forgot that he had already pulled a copy of that particular song and put it in the box to share with me. The guy was a great guy and only charged me $5 for this whole box. I didn't count them. I'm guessing there's around 50 to 60 discs here in this box, so it was a great deal. Even though they're not in ideal condition, a lot of them are in actually pretty good shape on the vinyl themselves, so they do sound pretty darn good, even if you've got, you know, some scuffed up labels and some autographs and stuff. But here's the Four Seasons doing Come On Marianne, which I can't hum that one for you because that's not one of theirs that I'm real familiar with or that I remember well. I did like the Four Seasons, Rudy Valley. Big Girls Don't Cry was probably one of my favorite songs of theirs when I was a kid. You know, Big Girls Don't Cry. B-side here being Let's Ride Again, which again is not a song that I'm familiar with. And actually, in all honesty, could quite well be the A-side. But I do think Come On Marianne rings a bit of a bell for me, so I think that was the A, and I think that's the song that we're going to know if we were to take time to sit down and have a listening party, which I'd absolutely love to do with every single one of you. Every one of you subscribers and every one of you that's just walking by and happens to pick up on one of the videos from the channel. I'd love to sit down in the living room and maybe have a few drinks and listen to some songs. It's fun. I do it with friends and family all the time. The wife really loves doing it. But you know, I can't be playing all these songs for you. I don't want to get into copyright issues. I don't want to get into any trouble. I don't want to jeopardize the channel or anything. So humming a title, that's one thing. It's just a few notes. It's just to spark your memory. It's not like I'm trying to profit off of any of this in any way. So anyways, here we've got Four Seasons doing a song called Candy Girl. And the B-side of that is a song called Marlena. I think Marlena might actually be the A-side again. Sometimes these are a real guess. Sometimes you can go off the numbers and you can tell. We got a VJ 539 and a VJ. Looks like 539 again, so that didn't tell you nothing. So then you look up over here and you got 3314 and you got 3313. So Marlena would be my guess is most likely the A side. Usually the catalog numbers, not always, that's not always the case, but it is a good indicator, and more often than not, the lower catalog number is the A side. Like I said, that's not always the case, and you got so many different companies, so many different distributing companies here putting stuff out, and they all do it all a little bit differently. So rules sometimes do not apply, especially when you've got a company like A&M, for one that comes to mind. This is notorious for having B-sides off of a different album completely. They're trying to promote two albums with a 45, so you'll have a recent 45 song off a new album, and often the B-side could even be off of an album or two or three before it even. But here we got the Four Seasons doing On Broadway Tonight, and the B-side, or possibly the A-side, because look at how much bigger that font is. That's interesting. Let's Hang On by the Four Seasons, featuring the sound of Frankie Valli. That's kind of funny, isn't it? But look how much bigger that font is than that one. That's interesting. And here's one that's another Four Seasons one. I think it's the last Four Seasons that we had in this box, so it'll be the last one that we'll be showing you for right now anyways. But Good Night My Love, I don't know what the US something something there, but it says the Four Seasons underneath there. So the songwriting credits are bigger than the credits for the band that did the recording, which is funny. And it's got a nice little notch taken out of it there. But as you can see again, you can just barely catch that groove and not really miss any of the song. But it's got a really bad chip out of the corner of him there. Corner. It's round. I'm not sure it really actually has a corner. Guess I should say that side. But the B-side, Stay. I don't know if that's Stay just a little bit longer. No, that's that's quite someone else from quite some time later. Who was that? Dan Fogelberg, I think. Might be wrong on that, but yeah, that was not the song that this is. The one I was just singing. I was going to have to do another correction there, but I caught myself, correct myself on the fly. I don't consider it a mistake. You know, these are just unscripted. I'm just trying to say what I know while I'm showing off the labels and talking about things. I plan a little bit of it out sometimes, but I don't go into extreme detail here. Maybe someday I would if this channel had really taken off huge and was making me a living, but that ain't the case. This is just a hobby, something I love amongst many things that I love. So there's only so much time and effort I'm going to put into creating these videos. I enjoy them. I enjoy doing them. I hope you enjoy watching them. But I'm not a big corporation. I don't have a production company here. It's just an old man and a GoPro, so this is what you get. Here we got Joe Stafford, who I have heard of. Not Jim Stafford, who did the Spiders and Snakes, but Joe Stafford. I have heard of him. But here we got Adios My Love, the Song of Athens. But that's Cold Picks. That's an interesting, I like the way they've got that kind of a Statue of Liberty there. It's an interesting different label that I haven't seen a lot of times. Backside's got a little bit of sticker damage probably, where excuse me, somebody had tried to peel a sticker off. I like the way they used a magic marker there too and tried to hide the not for sale. So this would have been a promotional disc. And Misty, that's a song title that rings a bell too, but I'm not sure it's this specific song. Like I said, a lot of these 45s, and it's interesting too, they blacked out the knot at one point, and then somebody blocked out the whole for sale, so that's interesting. It's a promo disc, people. They happen. I personally think it's really cool to get a hold of promos. It's nice to have a promo disc, especially when you got a mono on one side and stereo on the other, because I like to hear those, especially when they've done an exclusive mix for that mono version and not just a fold down from the stereo into the mono. But here we've got Guy Mitchell with Jimmy Carroll and his orchestra doing Call Rosie on the Phone. And I'm assuming this is the A side because somebody tagged it with a sticker here. This red sticker is not part of the original label. I wouldn't try peeling that off. Probably, it might just pop right off because the glue is really old and crystallized, or it might just damage the label like we saw on that last Joe Stafford one, and I don't want to do that. So that's why a lot of the times you see price tags on these discs. I don't try to remove them for the most part. Sometimes I'll give it a little bit of effort, but if it looks like it's going to damage it in any way or be a problem, I just leave those on there. But they marked that side, so that side was probably tagged as being an A side. B side though sounds more interesting to me. Cure for the Blues. That sounds more like a song that I might want to give a listen or enjoy. But it's a good looking vinyl. I mean, good piece of plastic there. So call Rosie on the phone. Maybe you know it. I don't. So next up here we got Tony Bennett. And that's how pretty much this stack went. Went with the songs that me and the wife knew and recognized, and it went with just artists that we knew and recognized, not necessarily songs. Then by the time we get to the end of this box, it's going to be stuff that we don't know at all, or I don't know at all. But you may. You never know when you're going to find that diamond in the rough there. But Tony Bennett, of course, I've heard of Tony Bennett with Ray Conniff, who I have not heard of. One for My Baby and One More for the Road. I do believe I recognize that song title. Even if I can't hum it for you, I do believe it's a song that I do know if I put it on and listen to it. And the back side is Tony Bennett with Percy Faith. So both sides have Tony Bennett, but they have different secondary artists with him. And No Hard Feelings being on this one. So that's going to wrap up part 2. It might just take us 4 parts or 3 and a short one to wrap up this box, as I've done a little more chatting than I actually originally thought I would. But hope you enjoyed that. I hope you come back for part 3, and I hope you have a wonderful day.